Hello guys, so I know that a while has passed since I wanted to create these tutorials, but anyways, here we are. So I want to show you a bit of CSS animation and a bit of HTML, and we'll be building this piston simulation where you can start a piston from a car, start it, stop it, you can move it up, down, use it on low power, medium or high, something like that. And we also have a fuel gauge, but kind of looks like a battery, but you get the idea. Okay, so this is how it's going to look, and let's start this. Okay, so we for in this tutorial we will use gulp in order to speed up the workflow a bit. If you don't know what gulp is, it's basically a task runner which helps us see the changes faster. So for example, when we change something in SCSS, it processes it and it instantly displays it in the browser. So we do not have to hit F5 or refresh every time. Gulp can do many other things, but for this basic tutorial, we will use it only for that. Okay, so let's start it. Okay, I will use the structure. I'll have the gulp file on the root of the folder, and all the files, all the source code will be inside a folder called src. So src in here, where we will have an index.html file, and also a folder with CSS. I'll also have a folder for here for SCSS, which is in case you don't know it, a bit more special, an improved version of CSS, and a gulp file .js in the root folder. Okay, so let's do a test. We'll enter hi, and this is not it, this is it, this is okay. Yeah, so how should I do it? Maybe I'll do it like this. Okay, so this is the HTML, and this we will have an CSS in here. Well, almost CSS, SCSS. Okay, so let's continue with the setup. We will have an SCSS file which will be compiled to CSS later, and we'll call this main.scss. Okay, put this down, and we can do something like body background color red, just for testing. Okay, that's it. And now let's do with the gulp file. Okay, so in order to have gulp working, we will have to install it locally. So how do we do that? We'll use the command line. I hope I remember this right. So yeah, you'll also have to have npm installed for this if you don't have it already, and if you don't know what is npm, just Google it. So npm install save to save it on a project, gulp. By the way, you do not have to use the gulp route. You can do this without a task runner, but as I said, this speeds up things. Yes, so what this does, when you do something with npm initially, it will create a folder for your node modules, which has basically all the files that you need. Well, there are a lot of folders in here. Don't look at them, you won't need these. Okay, so gulp file. So this won't be a tutorial about gulp, but here it goes. I'll copy the variables from the already built folder, and we'll basically have two tasks. One is serve, which will serve the files that I have locally. Basically, it's the server, and one is the SAS compiler. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to install the rest of the files that the utilities that we need. So one of them will be browser sync, save browser sync, which basically does all the refresh stuff for us, and gulp SAS, which does the compilation for us, and we will have to wait a bit. Yep. Okay, so it has finished installing. So let's do some simple tests, if we can. So let's do gulp SAS. Okay, and yeah, so if you go to the CSS version, the CSS folder, it has compiled the CSS for us. You can check it in here, and you can see it's, well, the lines are not the same, but basically the commands are. Okay, so let's do the setup in HTML and start doing this thing. So I'll use a basic wrapper for this, and yeah, I'll do the basic duck type. Yep, and you know, sorry for that. HTML and head, and we'll have some title. If I'll continue with this type of tutorials, then this will be named episode 1. Let's call this physics. Okay, and yeah, we will I also introduced main.css because that's where CSS comes from, and I also included a version of jQuery because we'll use the jQuery and JavaScript to move the piston. Okay, so reloading the screen, it shows us a red background. Okay, let's go to the body and say it again, hi. Okay, it's a hi. Okay, this works. Now let's test the task runner, the server. No, sorry, not gulp task, gulp. Simply gulp. So, yep, it has opened for us. Okay, this is it. Main.css, background blue, and it makes the background blue. Okay, the setup is done. So let's rock this. We'll have a main wrapper for everything and an illustration wrapper to insert what we want inside. Okay, let's delete this background in here, and inside the illustration wrapper we will have a cylinder. You know, the cylinder contains a piston, and the piston has some other elements inside it. Okay, so the main wrapper, I don't know, should be something with the background. Let's test it black. Let's make it a width of 600 and a height of 500 pixels. Okay. Margin, I don't know, 50 pixels in auto. This should center it, and it will give it 50 pixels on top and on the bottom. Let's change the background to make it more subtle, and this should be okay. We'll also, no, we'll add a padding later. Okay. Yep. So the cylinder. Let's make a cylinder. Let's target cylinder and make it a width of 100 pixels, a height of 200 pixels. I don't know, a border. 2 pixels solid. No. Black for testing. Margin 0. No. Let's see what we have in here. And yep, something that looks almost like a cylinder. Okay, let's center it with margin 0 auto, and let's have some padding on the wrapper. Padding 50 pixels. Okay. Yep. Let's use a more subtle border. Maybe something like this. I don't know. Wait. Okay, this should be okay. Now, inside the cylinder, we'll have a piston, and let's style this piston, and it should be something with a width 100% of the wrapper, a height of, I don't know, 190 pixels, background black, yep, and it should be, no, let's make, no, it's okay, black. Okay. Now let's change the color. Something like this, maybe. Okay. Okay, so we have a square inside a square. Great. Now let's create two buttons and try to make it move. And we have the main wrapper, illustration wrapper, and we have something like controls. And I don't know, move up and move down. Move up, move down. No, sorry. Okay, something like that, and we have to define them in here. Controls. Yep, we'll have a class like this, and here comes the power of CSS. We can, you know, have a selector inside of a selector. So this is nesting controls, and inside of it we'll have a button. Okay, so display block. No, this isn't right, obviously, because we'll have to declare a class name of button. Okay. Okay, now this should be inline block, and you know, have something like background gray. I don't know, something like that. And the padding 20 pixels, no, 10 pixels, something like that. Okay, controls, text align, center, so we should center these. And the illustration wrapper should have a margin bottom. Illustration wrapper margin bottom 50 pixels. No, 50, maybe 20, no. 7 pixels. Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. Now comes the fun part. We will also need some JavaScript. We'll include it at the end of the body. So we'll have script equals script source equals main.js, and obviously we will need to have main.js in here. Okay, so we will use jQuery for this because it's easier this way, and we will declare everything after the document has loaded. How do we do that? Well, we use a dollar for jQuery, obviously, and the target is the document. When it's ready, we use a function. Now, inside of this, we should target, for example, the move up button. Move up dot click, and the function. No, let's do move down first. Move down, click, function. Okay. Now, inside these, we will have another function that we declare that actually moves down the piston. So we're doing this basically because we will use this function again or multiple times, so we should not repeat ourselves. Anyways, bear with me. Function move down, which takes two parameters, speed and callback, but I'll explain them later. Basically everything that we need is a targeter with we need to target the piston class and to animate it with some properties. A property, margin top 100 pixels, and yeah, basically this should be it. The speed should be, I don't know, 500, and the callback function, which does nothing. Okay, save it, refresh, and yeah, we need to declare it, move down. When we click the button, it should move down, and it doesn't. Animate. Animate is not a function. Animate. animate should be it. Okay, so moving down, seems like it's working, but those buttons are not, you know, in the right place. Let's have a quick fix and have this at 170 pixels. Yeah. Okay, so this is the move down function. We will also have a move up function, which you know, moves the piston back at 10 pixels above the ceiling. Okay, and we will call this function when we click the button. So move up, okay, refresh it, move down, move up, move down, move up. Okay, since this already took a bit, I'll make this into separate parts. So this will be part 1, and we'll continue with part 2 later.